We now come to item 9.4, and it is sad to recommend that Council receive and note Cr Bryan Littlely's resignation report. Would someone like to move that way? Cr Littlely, do you want to move that?
Yep.
Do I have a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Schofield. Cr Littlely, would you like to speak to your report?
Yeah, I will speak to it. Thank you very much. I'm going to flag that I might push the 5-minute limit, so just give me a heads up and see where we go from there. While you're all aware of my decision to resign from my role as an elected member effective tonight, I believe it is essential that I advise you and the community of my reasons for this decision at this point in time. There's a number of reasons why I see a need to resign from the role. There's a couple of reasons why I'm doing so at this particular time. I'll deal with the why I'm standing down first. It is the case, and I've been quite open about this with my councillor colleagues and publicly, that I live with and manage PTSD, mostly quite effectively, although there are times it can be quite debilitating. I don't have the luxury of knowing when I'm going to need to dedicate more of myself to managing the impact of this serious health issue. Unfortunately, it's also been the case that some people, including some who have been quite active in this chamber, feel it is appropriate to make light of the challenge of dealing with PTSD, even to use my actions in dealing with my PTSD in an attempt to ridicule or undermine my position as a councillor. In addition to this, my profession is as a journalist, something I quite clearly stated when I first nominated for council, a profession I was working in when this community elected me as the third candidate across the line, and a profession I strive to excel in. For the overwhelming majority of my term as an elected member, I have been a journalist working in my local community, producing local content on local issues for local media outlets. It is the case that I've not reported on the City of Victor Harbor matters in that time. I have, however, been denied opportunities to work in media organisations because of my elected member status, effectively costing me substantial financial benefit. More recently, I've been made aware of a desire, influenced in part by some elected member colleagues and some hopefuls, for me to be denied the opportunity of working for my local media organisation, or to have my capacity to perform my role as a journalist to the very high standard I'm known for dramatically reduced. One of a number of examples of this is evidenced by a recent unsuccessful code of conduct viewed by David Kemp, where his complaint was that I'd written an article for my publication which briefly touched on a public council decision previously reported on my ad and not included in the article by myself but by a sub-editor. The code of conduct complaint, which cost myself, council staff and others significant time and resources to respond to, was that I had not stated that it was my personal opinion and not that of council in an article I'd written. My profession as a journalist has, I consider, been scrutinised more than the professions of any other elected member throughout this time on council, and I'm happy to provide anyone who cares to know some of the examples of this. As a result of this scrutiny, my ability to work in my profession to the high standard I set for myself and to earn the income my 30 years of experience in that profession can demand has clearly been impacted by forces outside of my control. I'm doing a disservice to myself, my profession, and I'll add to the public, the community of media consumers I serve, by continuing in the role of councillor at a time when that readership is hungry for the high-level news and content I'm capable of producing for the local leading newspaper and broadcasters I'm employed by. Why now? Well, I would have liked to have had the option to step down around 12 months ago, when very much struggling with my PTSD, transitioning in jobs and needing to regularly travel interstate, which added significantly more pressure on my time, and when also grieving the loss of my treasured grandmother. That option to step down, though, was not available to me at that time, at least not without considerable cost to our ratepayers for a by-election, given Peter Charles had quit as an elected member around a month earlier, with not more than a post-it note of explanation to ratepayers. I put my community and ratepayers before myself and my family at that time. I'm not prepared to do that again, as it is an expense to my health and my profession that I cannot afford. I also have significant media work to undertake for the remainder of this year and a busy time upon us right now with farming work. I'm addressing some health issues which I am pleasingly getting on top of, and I want to continue on that right path. I've taken up the directorship of the National Leave the Light On Foundation while my co-founder is indisposed due to ill health. My family unit has grown with a return to hosting exchange students, and I would like to gain the most from that experience. I'm not able to attend the next and final meeting of the council due to other commitments, and therefore I would not have had the opportunity to address you to give reason for my resignation. As an individual with a great sense of responsibility and affection for my community, and as a journalist with a thirst for providing outstanding journalism, I don't wish to be denied the opportunity to report on the hottest issue in town, and that is the local government elections. Finally, in response to my resignation as an elected member, I have, among other requirements, been requested to reimburse council for the portion of my allowance paid in advance through to the end of the council term. This totals $2,808 at the rate of $52 a day. I hope for the support of my elected member colleagues to have this requirement waived and offer the following advice to support my request. I'm of the opinion that I've consistently...
1 minute, Councillor Littlely.
Yep. I'm of the opinion that I've consistently performed well and over and above my duties and commitment to the role of elected member by way of hours committed, tasks undertaken and reinvestment in my community to justify receiving the full entitlement of the allowance at this point in time. Not only have I missed just one ordinary council meeting, been a representative on a number of committees and working groups without financial compensation, I also personally have dedicated significant time not just supporting council events, but leading community events to raise significant funds for worthy recipients. And finally, we are in caretaker mode, where very little council business can be executed. All of you, except for Councillor Basbrook, are in campaign mode, going about your individual business of trying for re-election. Given you all surely consider that you've earned your elected member allowance with your work prior to caretaker mode kicking in, and the majority of your remaining time in this council is arguably to be... I have 2 seconds, 10 seconds.
I'll give you 30 seconds.
Your remaining time in this council is arguably to be invested in your own interests and not council business. I ask that you give consideration to the fairness of the requirement of me to reimburse that allowance. Thank you. I have enjoyed being a part of this council and I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you, Councillor Littlely. Do I have a second? Oh, I've got a seconder. Councillor Schofield, do you want to speak to Councillor Littley's resignation report?
Thank you. I can't really speak on behalf of the rest of the elected members, but I thank you very much, Brian, for the work that you've done for the City of Victor Harbor. I've enjoyed working with you. It has been very interesting at times, and I'd like to wish you all the very, very best in your future endeavours. And thank you again for your service.
Thank you, Councillor Schofield. Does anybody else want to speak to Councillor Littley's resignation report? Councillor Kemp?
Just a question, thank Mayor Jenkins. In receiving the report and supporting the report, does that mean that we are signing off on a waiver on his allowance?
No, the recommendation is that Council receive and note the resignation report. There's been no motion put in relation to the allowance, and I'm not sure that we're able to do that. That would have to be something I need to ask the staff about. But this just relates to the resignation report.
Thank you.
If there's, Councillor Littlely, there's going to be no rebuttal you have to put in your report. I would ask, I'll put that to the floor. All those in favour? And those against? That's carried, thank you. And once again, Councillor Littley, thank you very much for what you've done.
Can I call a division there? Please?
You can. All those in favour? Councillor Mann, Councillor Littley, Councillor Glasbrook, Councillor Hales and Councillor Schofield. And those against? Councillor Kemp and Councillor Robertson. They may not want you to go. But thank you very much.
South Coast Television, your community, your voice.